Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video, guys, I am going to be doing yet again another ghost debunk, and I say that as if I did a ghost debunk like a week ago or something. But truth be told, I haven't done a ghost debunk in almost 2 years. I would go to say that because the last two videos that I put in the ghost debunk category, I wouldn't exactly consider ghost debunking videos. One of them was simply a follow-up, and the other one was simply a discussion about aliens. So I really haven't touched on a ghost, like just a full-fledged new ghost video in almost 2 years, and this is one of the most requested ghost videos to do. Well, I guess not really ghost videos, but ghost channels, and it's called Ghosts of Carmel, Maine. Don't mistaken it for caramel. It's Carmel. It's Carmel. Carmel. I thought it was caramel for a while too, and I used to say that jokingly a lot. But Ghost of Carmel, Maine. I've had at least 3, 4, 5 people request this to me ever since I did, started doing ghost debunks and everything like that. And I kind of pushed it to the side. I thought it was like a documentary series and everything like that, and it sort of is. But most of the video, I thought it was a documentary series in the sense where it's like they're documenting these ghost sightings that are in this town. But it's not really that. It's just this guy who lives in Carmel, Maine, which is an actual town in Maine. And most of the videos that he records are just videos around his house, which is very convenient for this ghost debunk because knowing the layout of the house really helps with my debunk. But most of it is just him going throughout his house, trying to catch, ghost sightings and everything like that. And most of the time he just picks up certain voices and things like that. He's had a couple times where he saw shadow figures and doors closing, I think that was one of them. But most of the time he just hears voices because he uses the spirit box quite a bit in his videos. So I am here to finally touch on this for those of you who have been requesting this over the past few years. I'm sorry I pushed it to the side. And man, it took me a while to find a good video to debunk. And originally I wasn't going to do Carmel, Maine, but I finally decided, well, everybody's been requesting Carmel, Maine over the past few years. Why don't I just go check it out and see what it's actually all about? And I've heard of it, I've heard of it before. I've seen videos. Carmel, Maine's been featured on like Nuke's Top 5 and everything like that, and I believe the Nuke's Top 5 video was when he caught like a shadow figure and things like that. And I want to say right off the bat that Ghosts of Carmel, Maine is not untouched. There have been YouTubers out there who have touched on Ghosts of Carmel, Maine and debunked some of these sightings and everything like that. So I'm here to put in my share of debunking, I guess, because you guys requested it, so I really wanted to do it. So a few of these things in here are just going to be going off of things that people already pretty much came up with. So I'm just going to be kind of going over a lot of the, basically revising stuff that people have already looked over. But there are a few things in here that I want to talk about that I believe nobody has touched on yet. So, yeah, with that being said, let me turn off the volume on my phone because I keep getting notification sounds. With that being said, though, let's start this video off. But, yeah, basically it's just this guy named Kent. As you can see, there's his face right there. And a lot of his videos, he's just going around his house, trying to pick up ghost sightings and things like that. So I'm going to go to the most replayed part of his video. I really like this new feature that YouTube added, by the way, the most replayed feature. I really do like that feature because it helps find, important parts of the video. But at this part of the video, I want to touch on this part first. I think he's like on the attic stairs or something, and he's hearing some noises, and he finally decides to go all the way up into his room. A lot of this stuff he does is like up in his room, and he sees a shadow figure. So let's take a look at that. I fixed the issue. I had to cut there because I was having issues with my audio, but I fixed it. So here we are. Take a look. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit because it gets kind of loud.
Are you talking?
No, I heard that moan. I don't know if you guys could hear it. Probably even harder for you guys to hear it, but it's very faint. Apparently, here's a tap sound. Then a knock.
What the hell is that?
So he goes up to investigate.
Son of a bitch!
And then, as you can see, it was pretty loud there. He sees a ghost.
What the hell is that noise?
Figure. And he does a replay of it. So I'm just going to leave it here. This is one of the things that people have already touched on about the whole ghost figure. The video that was featured on Nuke's Top 5 was of not this particular ghost figure sighting, but it was on another one where the ghost figure was like by the window or something like that. He's done this before, and people have touched on this before. And the common consensus for people is that it's just somebody dressed up in a little cloak figure. And, in most of these, these ghost figure sightings, it's from a distance away. So usually it's just like a photoshopped image or something like that they add on here. In this one, though, I do think it's probably just somebody dressed up in a cloak figure. This isn't one of those instances where the owner of this channel, Kent in this case, claims to be all alone in his house and there's nobody else who could possibly be helping him with his videos. He has brought on a couple friends for some of his videos and stuff like that, so he could have easily brought somebody over to help him with these videos. So it's likely just one of his friends dressed up in a cloak, because you'll notice when he does this part of the recording, he's shaking the camera quite a bit, so it's pretty blurry and everything like that. And the camera quality is pretty low, so it's pretty easy to kind of hide the whole cloak figure. If the cloak figure was at a little bit more of a distance and he kind of actually focused on it for more, it would have been easier to tell that it was just somebody dressed up in a cloak figure. But that's probably just what it is, and he's probably using this to kind of create more of that scary effect, like, oh, he's scared, but also to kind of hide the fact that that it's just somebody dressed up in a cloak figure. So that's the first part of the video I wanted to touch on. And then there's the second part that I really had trouble with trying to figure out exactly how he did this. And I actually had to look at a second video to just make sure that I was right with this. But there's a part of his video where he is looking at his closet. Oh my god, there's an ad. I'm going to have to cut this next part out, guys. Sorry. He puts in so many ads in his videos. No, so as you can see, he's kind of got this view of his closet, and he hears this echoing voice, apparently. Stares at his closet for a little bit.
Are you making noise?
And the light just turns on. And then it turns back on. He goes in there.
That's not possible. There's no switch on this at all.
And then he claims that there's no switch, so there's no possible way that he could have turned on the light. Like, there's nobody else who could have been in there who could have just flipped the switch or whatever. And I know that. I know that it's not a switch light because bulbs like this, the reason why I know that is because bulbs like this is the bulb that lights up the closet and everything like that. Bulbs like this usually don't have a flip switch. These, open bulbs where they don't have a cover or anything like that, usually just have a pull string that you use to pull and turn on the lights and everything like that. And that's likely what was used to turn on this this light. And the nice thing about the pull string is you don't even have to have anybody in the room to, flip a switch or whatever. You don't have to have somebody who's pulling the string in the room. You don't even have to hide anybody in the closet. You can just create a long string connecting to that pull string, and then you can either, he's actually done this before, not with the lights, but in one of the door closing videos, you could see he had his hand kind of out a little bit, and you could see he pulled a string to close his door, hit by him, like himself. But in the case of this video, I had to dig a little bit deeper because I don't think he might have done the same trick in this video where he just he's holding a string and he flicks the switch. And it's easier with this one because it's not straight up and down, it's kind of like at an angle, so it's a little bit easier to pull the string and turn it on. So either he's doing the same trick that he did with the whole door closing video, or he's having a friend that's helping with him. And the reason why I say that a friend could have helped him with this is I wanted to dig a little bit deeper and see if there were any spots where maybe he could have had a friend in a different room, maybe pull the string for him or something like that. So this isn't 100%, but I took a look at one of these other videos that he had, and at the end of it, I couldn't find the follow-up video, because at the end of this video it says, oh, then stay tuned for the next investigation. It's going to be for the attic. And at the end of the video, as you can see, you get a view of some of his lights, and a lot of the lights in the upper part of his house are just pull string lights. So that's likely what that light is as well. It's just one of those pull string lights. And he says, stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be up in the attic. The next investigation, the attic. And as you can see, it's one of those attics where you have those doors, and I think you have to pull it down, and there's either like a step ladder, or you just, take the thing, move it, and you kind of have to just climb up there. It's one of those older attics that not a lot of people usually go up in. So either he had a friend up in the attic that maybe could have been pulling the string from up above the attic and turning it on. That could have been a way, because if you look back in the video, I don't know if it's just a shelf and there's stuff on top of it, but there's some stuff up here. I think it's just like there's like a wall shelf that's up there, and there's a bunch of stuff up there. But there could be a door on the top of his closet that I've never seen that goes up to the attic. Some closets that have that. I know my closet has that, where you have a door that in the closet that goes up to the attic. It'd be one of those things where his friends are just up in the attic and they pull the string for him. But the more likely case is that he just did the same trick that he did with the door closing video, where he just pulls the string himself to turn on the light. Because you can clearly hear that something was pulling the string. If you I'll turn up the volume all the way. You can clearly hear a little clink when the lights turn on. So let me show you.
What the fuck?
So I'll play that again, in case you didn't hear it.
Fuck.
Oh wait, that was okay. It already turned on once. Let me go back. Here we go. Listen closely.
Are you making noise?
Clink.
What the fuck?
So as you could hear, you could hear the clink of the pull string and everything like that. And that's pretty much it for that section. And then the last part of the video that I want to touch on, and I'm sure some of you might have been a little bit curious about this, is how does he do the whole voices part? Because that's the main part of this video and most of his videos, is how does he do the voices and things like that. And this is really just going to be a kind of in general, like a general just debunk of all of YouTube, all of the YouTubers who do this thing where they, play these voices on the on their videos, and then they'll put up in quotations like what they think they heard or whatever. This is kind of just going to be a general debunk of that. So how does he do the voices part? Well, I could give you a very, very simple explanation, which you guys could probably already predict, which is, he just fabricates his own sounds and imports them into the video, and then, puts up on screen what sound he, was trying to make. And it doesn't even have to really sound all that much like what he's actually saying it sounded like. Like, he could say that the ghost was saying, "Hey, hi, how are you?" And it could just sound like a bunch of gibberish. And this is an actual phenomenon, where if you put text up on a screen and you hear audio that doesn't really sound like anything, your brain will just automatically assume it's kind of got like this confirmation bias. It'll just automatically assume that what's showing on the screen is what you actually heard, when really, if you just take this text away, it's just a whole bunch of gibberish. This is an actual phenomenon. I forgot what the name was, but this is an actual phenomenon, and it's a phenomenon that a lot of these ghost investigators and paranormal investigators will take advantage of, especially with the spirit boxes. Now, not 100% of the time is he using a spirit box, and in the times that he's not using the spirit box, the best explanation that I could give to you is that, yeah, he's just fabricating his own sounds, and most of the time when he's not using the spirit box, he can't really come up with a faint ghost-sounding like audio clip, because it's kind of hard to do that when you're making your own. So usually when it's without the spirit box, you'll just put up, moaning noise or, knocking sound or whatever whatever it may be. But when he is using the spirit box, then the spirit box will actually, if you've ever owned a spirit box, they will actually produce sounds and things like that. There have been skeptics out there who have actually gotten these spirit boxes to see if they actually come up with any sounds, or like somebody actually saying something through the spirit box. And these skeptics have found that most of the stuff that the spirit boxes come up with is just a bunch of gibberish. And that's how the paranormal investigators take advantage of it, because it could sound like a bunch of gibberish, but as long as they get in the few syllables that they need, they put the text, they can put the text up, and then somebody will just think, like their brain will just automatically think that that's what they heard. But really, if you take the text away, like I said, it just sounds like a bunch of gibberish. So I'll show you an example here. And in this case, he's actually using the spirit box. And the ghost just tells him straight up F you, which I thought was hilarious. I laugh every time I watch this part of the clip. And it's what he says afterwards that really cracks me up as well. I don't care. If a ghost was opening a cabinet in my house, I wouldn't be the least bit scared. But if it just told me F you, I would be running out there because I would be extremely, extremely scared. Or just think I'm going crazy. I don't know. But
you know what?
Let me go back a little bit so you guys can...
you know what? I heard that.
I'm going to give you guys plenty of time to react here.
Hello? You know what? I heard that. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Hello?
And I just love his response and everything like that. But yeah, as you can see on there, it only faintly, it only faintly sounded like FU. But your brain just kind of assumes that because the text on the screen says FU, then that's what it said, even though there's only a few syllables in there that even, that there was only like a few syllables in there that maybe even very, very faintly sounded like that word. But if you take the text away, it's probably just going to sound like a bunch of gibberish to you, because you have nothing to, your brain has nothing to follow with. If your brain doesn't have anything to follow with in the text, then it's just going to assume it's a bunch of gibberish, because it simply cannot process that gibberish. It can't come up with anything that it sounds like. It doesn't. It's not actually. The ghost wasn't actually saying "f you." It was actually just a bunch of gibberish. But because he put the text up on the screen, it sounds like that. The best thing that I could use to kind of, how do you want to say it? To kind of use as an example to this. I don't know if this is a really good example, but you know how in like cartoons where they'll just have the mouth of the cartoon character moving. And then they'll be saying something, and the mouth will just move each time a syllable is said, or each time a word is said, or a syllable is said. Your brain will kind of just assume that that's what is. It'll kind of just try to connect the two pieces together. But without one of those pieces, your brain's just going to think it's a bunch of gibberish. So if you showed a cartoon character and there was even just a couple of syllables off or a couple of words off in its speech, you'd be like, that doesn't seem right. And it's the same case in these type of videos where if you didn't have the text on the screen, it would just sound like a bunch of gibberish. And that's, a lot of skeptics have disproven these spirit boxes and things like that, because they have just brought their spirit, they've bought these spirit boxes, they've tried them out, and most of the stuff that it comes up with doesn't sound like anything. It just sounds like a bunch of, have you ever had like an FM radio and you're trying to adjust it to get it just right, but you can hear a few words, but you can hear some static too? That's kind of what these spirit boxes sound like. Even when they put the text up, that's kind of what it sounds like as well. So that is it for the ghost debunk. Thank God I finally got that done. This is one of those videos where I'm just so happy that I finally got it done, because it took me almost a week to finally get this all finished. It took me a couple of days just to find the right video that would be even just worthy of debunking, because there's just not as many good videos out there as there used to be, as far as paranormal videos and stuff like that, where it's just extremely obvious of how they did it and everything like that. So it took me a while to even just find the right video for this. So I'm happy I got it done, and I'm happy I kept my promise. There was a lot of times where I just kind of gave up on a ghost debunk because I just couldn't find the right video. It wasn't even that I just gave up on trying to debunk it. It's just that I couldn't find a good video to do. So, yeah, I appreciate your guys' patience, and I'm proud of myself for finally getting one out after so long. I've been wanting to get one out for a long time now. And, yeah, that's, pretty much it. Stay tuned for the future content. I'm going to be uploading 3 consecutive days Round 8, Round 9, and Round 10 of the horror slasher killer matchups. And I'm going to be getting to working on soon the part 2 of the Bully Maguire video. And after that, hopefully things will be nice and consistent. If you checked one of the posts that I made on the community tab, I announced a major update that I'm making to my channel. And basically, just to give you a general rundown of what I said in the post, there are going to be types of videos that I'm going to be quitting doing, and there are videos that I will be continuing to do. And I just wanted to clarify what videos I would be continuing doing and what videos I'm no longer going to be doing. So if you want to go check that out and see all the details, go check that post. I highly recommend you do it, because I know there's some of you out there who are going to be still requesting certain videos, and then I'm going to have to tell you, well, if you obviously didn't see the post I made, because I'm no longer doing those types of videos. So make sure you go check. This is the only time I'm going, this is one of the few times where I'm actually going to tell you to check the community post on the video. So go check that post if you have not seen it yet for clarification. Otherwise, like and subscribe, guys, and I will see you next time.